walk-on music, and thanks for the woohoo in the crowd. I'm Lisa Witter, and I'm the CEO of the Better Politics Foundation, and it's fantastic to be here for an award, 3 awards, actually 5 awards, for our 3rd annual Hall of Fame for political leadership innovators. Now, I've been really lucky the last day to be here with 25 MPs or senators from around the world, as you have been in your conference. We've been talking about trust, AI, and leadership. And so what we're going to spend the next about 20 minutes talking about the role of the politician. So let me just say a little bit about us. We're the Better Politics Foundation. We are a foundation of an organization called Apolitical, which is the largest peer-to-peer learning platform in the world. We love geeking out with bureaucrats. How many bureaucrats are in the room? Any bureaucrats in the room? Well, yeah, give it up for the bureaucrats. Thank you. If you're not, thanks for wooing anyway. That's very nice. So we're really about renewing leadership and rebuilding trust. And today in our session, we learned that trust has 3 major components. One is integrity, something that's really important for political leadership. The second is competency, obviously very important. And the third is benevolence. So as we talk about how do we rebuild trust in politics or in democracy, benevolence, integrity, and competence is key. And what we do is we really try to inspire hope, equip political leaders with what they need. You know, we have 18th century politics, 19th century institutions, 20th century technology for 21st century challenges. So how do we support people and politics to rise to the challenge of the complexity and speed of what it means today? Now, we do not do any of this alone. We are a platform that's a fund. We're funding innovation in political leadership. We're a launch pad, and we're a convener. And I just would like my friends from the L Hub who are here, we don't do this alone. We have 95 organizations about the L Hub people, raise your hand. None of democracy can improve or we get the political leaders that we need without each other. So I just want to thank everyone who's on the boat, and we're all rowing together. And we really believe the theory of change for democracy. You cannot update or protect democracy unless you look at the talent. Politics is about people. So who are the people in the system? There's forces changing it from the outside in, but who is changing it from the inside out? And that's what we're really here today to talk about. If you look at what we have up here, we picture politics as a political leadership impact path. So it's not just getting elected, it's actually really serving and thinking about impact and not just elections. And so before I invite the Hall of Famers up, and I'm going to ask you to participate, so you have to bear with me, I want to talk about the 3 Horizons framework. Has anyone heard of this? Raise your hand if you've heard of this 3 Horizons framework. A few of you, thank you. So I think this is really important. I think we're in a time where many of us are playing defense when it comes to democracy. But I think we know that, as I said, we have 18th century politics and 19th century institutions, maybe 20th century technology with 21st century challenges, and maybe with the need for 22nd century foresight. And if you look at this 3 Horizons path, you can see that on the line above, it's about status quo going down, the way things used to be. You know, there used to be people who had horse and buggy, and so at some point, the horse and buggy needed to go away as the new technology came in. I'm not comparing democracy to horse and buggy, but the new innovations came in to get to that 3rd horizon, which is the emerging future. And so what we're here today is to really welcome 3 politicians in person, but 5 politicians who will be in the 3rd class of the Hall of Fame. So you guys look like you're looking at me. The lights are bright, but we're going to try this. We're going to do this side of the room. 1/3 is going to yell Hall, and then the middle of, and then that side Fame. Can you do it? That was very lackluster. Okay. Can you do it? I mean, these people put up with threats. They run for office. They serve their citizens. They do hard work. So if we can do hard work, they can do hard work, we can do hard work. Okay, so this side, Hall. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Super, if I could bring you guys out, that would be fantastic. Give them a big round of applause. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. So first up, I'd like to ask Ruth Forrest. She's the Deputy President of the Tasmanian Legislative Council. She went from midwife to Parliament. This lady is tough as nails, and she loves people. Ruth. Ruth is an independent, and she's been championing rights of underrepresented people, transparent budgets, equality. Ruth, you've been in this for quite some time, 20 years, so thank you, Ruth. Next, we have Paul Magnette. He's the president of the Belgian Socialist Party. Thank you. And Paul was accidentally sort of seconded into government a while ago during a crisis as a political scientist to help solve a problem. And then, a long story short, he stayed in. And he just is in the middle of a participatory process, we'll ask him to ask you about, to reform his political party by co-creating with people in a structured way. So very excited, because often we see in politics now, the lever that often is the one that's stuck is the role of the political party. So we're going to talk about political party innovation, which I find very cool and not talked about enough. And then next, we have Eva Abdulla. Eva, yeah, give her, I like it. This is a friendly crowd. She's the Maldives Deputy Speaker. She's really, former, yes, she's out. I asked her if she'll go in again. And what did you say?
I said I'm not sure yet.
Not sure yet. She's really been exposing corruption and working on feminist foreign policy. So it's been a hard road. Then we have two people who aren't here, so they are watching on live stream. So maybe we can wave to the live stream to them. Everyone wave. I know my mom and dad are watching. I'm 52 and they still watch everywhere I'm at. This is Joyce Trindade. She's a city councillor from Rio de Janeiro. Any Brazilians in the house? They're usually louder than that. Any Brazilians in the house? They're usually the loudest people. She's from Rio's West Zone, and she built Brazil's largest women's secretariat. So really looking at inclusion in politics, which we know is really important in helping the citizens feel represented. And then, yeah, there we go. And then, last but not least, and near my neck of the woods, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, below the borderline, but I still say A. I know there are a lot of Canadians in the house. Can the Canadians? Yeah, there's like a whole delegation. I've never seen in all my life this excited of Canadians. Like, I didn't know that it happened, actually, but you know, geopolitics changes people, I guess. So from streets to City Hall, advancing participation in democracy and climate action. So what I want to say is, in a lot of ways, the innovations that this Democratic Innovation Politician Hall of Fame, Kim, you're right, it's a mouthful, aren't really innovations, actually. They're old ideas, but they're old ideas done now and done with excellence. And I think too often, as we're talking about democracy and politics, we're looking for the shiny new response, the tech platform, the brand new concept. And sometimes we need that. And Paul, I'm gonna ask you to share one that you think is a powerful mechanism to put on our societies. But it's often doing the hard things in a grindy, courageous, behind-the-scenes way. And so for that, I'm very, very grateful. So let's give them another round of applause. So we're really lucky because I get to talk to politicians from around the world, and I get to interview them and sometimes get to give them awards. And they often say to me, no one ever gives me awards. No one ever interviews me unless it's a gotcha interview. This is not a gotcha interview. This is an interview to share a little bit about each of you and why you do what you do. So I want to start off with mindset, because we can talk about your innovations, but I think when you talk about leadership, what are the skills and mindset that have allowed you to be innovators within a very kind of slow and hard system to move? So Eva, I'll start with you. And do you have a microphone with you? Yeah.
I do. Thank you very much, Lisa. I'm not sure if it's a skill. I wouldn't call it a skill. But the one word that I would say is integrity. I'm not sure how many of you know about politics in the Maldives and how much you know at all about Maldives politics, but it's all about money politics at the moment. And the Maldives is a country where corruption is so normalized that it seems to be the only game in town, where support does not necessarily at all reflect who gets elected or not. In a situation like that, integrity almost seems like a quaint concept, but I think integrity is what I try and maintain, and integrity is in the hope that it is a long game. Thank you.
Thank you, and remember the 3 elements of trust in political leaders: benevolence, competence, and integrity. So you hit on that. Ruth, maybe say a minute about what you have done to earn your seat on the stage, and what is that skill or mindset as a former midwife that you birthed? Did you like that? That was smooth. You birthed into the political system.
Yeah, I think being a midwife and a sex educator was a very good training ground for being a politician. You need to think about that. For me, it's really about determination and not giving up, being willing to play a long game, so that when you're not pushing through and not getting where you want to get, stepping back, taking time to find out what the barriers are, playing that long game, and finding another way to achieve the outcome. There's often more than one way, and being willing to keep your eyes up and your vision wide to find the other way. If there's not a way, make a way.
If there's not a way, make a way. Yes, some round of applause. 20 years as an independent, not so easy. How about you, Paul? I know you're doing a system within the political party. Maybe just say a few words about it. And Ava, I'll come back to you to give a little headline of what you're doing. Explain your skill or mindset and a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, what I'm doing, what I'm doing is quite simple. It's simply implementing within a political party deliberative panels as we've experienced in local authorities, regions, and so on and so forth. And when we had this idea, I was struck by the fact that no one had this idea before. So political parties remain black boxes in democracies, and we need to democratize them. And the kind of skill that you need, I think, is curiosity, I would say, and some consistency. I was a political scientist in a former life. I read all those beautiful books about democratic innovation, and I thought, politicians should do that. So when I became a politician, I had no excuse, and I started doing it. And believe me, when you start doing it, first, it's a lot of fun, and you need fun in politics, because there are lots of boring aspects of politics. And second, it works. It works.
So we're on a mission to try to get more parties to reform from an inside out. What was the moment that your party decided to do this? Because one of the things that Paul and I have talked about is democracy is in a squeeze in a lot of places. So we talked about when your party was in a particular moment. What was that?
Was 1 year ago, more or less, when we went back to the opposition, which is normal and safe in politics. And we said, well, now we have 4 years before us. We have time, because when you are ruling, when you're part of the government, you're so absorbed by everyday problems and by managing and taking laws and taking the good decisions that you do not really have the time and the energy to do that. So I think, well, alternation is very safe in democracy, and you have to make the best possible use of your moments of opposition.
Fantastic. Ava, why don't you give us a few lines on what you've done? You talked about integrity being so close. Integrity and corruption usually requires a lot of courage. On top of that, you did feminist foreign policy, all easy things to work on. Tell us a little bit more about it.
I grew up under a dictatorship. I was born into a dictatorship. I grew up under a dictatorship. We had a president who was there for 30 years with so much power that growing up in the Maldives, we thought that his name was actually synonymous with the word president. I kid you not. Growing up, I thought President Gayoom was the word for president. That is how much control, I mean, you get the picture. No freedom of speech, no political parties, no political pluralism, only one man's name on the presidential ticket, etc., etc. This is the kind of Maldives I grew up in, and this is the kind of situation that I entered politics in. So very often doing politics in the Maldives, for me, meant not so much doing politics, but as just simple resistance, clandestine resistance. I started off as an activist and spent my entire adult life as an activist trying to run an anti-corruption underground network, trying to run an anti-torture underground network, advocating and agitating for political parties, and finally, winning. Winning meaning we actually defeated a dictator, a 30 years dictator, with free and fair elections. Look up Maldives politics, please. It's an interesting example of, I mean, we're one of the very few countries to actually defeat a dictator with free and fair elections. So for me, my work has been trying to show a lot of bravery in many occasions when I don't necessarily feel very brave. But you put on a brave face because you have to keep going and you have to keep going. And you put on that brave face under very repressive situations, risking jail, risking torture, risking beatings, risking death threats from religious extremists simply for advocating for a more moderate Islam, risking all this and putting on a brave face when very often you do not necessarily feel brave. But again, as Ruth said, playing the long game and hoping in the end that it's all worthwhile.
So this is what politicians look like here: brave, courageous, curious, finding a way. And as we leave, as our time is up, and I do 3 speed rounds. 1, these are people, they're not machines. I hear people say all politicians are X. No, they're extraordinary people who literally put their lives on the line to change the systems. So I asked you to share in 1 word, what was your childhood nickname, Paul? You were a real kid one time, not just a politician. Your nickname when you were a kid?
It was Popol.
Popol.
Yeah.
Ruth? Your childhood nickname?
I didn't actually have one, but apparently my dad called me Popo, not to my face. He never called me that. And I didn't know that till Dad was very old. My mum told me.
Oh.
He never called it to my face, but that was my name, apparently.
And you?
I actually didn't have a nickname. I don't have a nickname, but I'm the first Eva ever in the country.
First Eva ever in
the first
country.
person to be called Eva, because in the Maldives, you need to have a Muslim name. And for some reason, I don't, and I'm the first Eva in the country.
Well, it seems predestined for you to be a courageous pusher of change. Last word, Paul. In a word, why do you do politics? In a word, why do you do politics? One word.
Yeah, and 1 word. Rebellion against.
Rebellion.
Yeah, against the state of the world. Yeah.
Ruth?
I do it for the people I represent and the people I care about.
The people you care about, the people you represent. Eva?
Hope.
Hope. So I'd like to give her a round of applause. Behind me are the Hall of Fame past recipients. You are entering a really beautiful group of people from Mexico, from Argentina, from Australia, from Bratislava, from the United States, from Taiwan. You are not alone. There are more of you. And I want all of you to walk away, as we're talking about democracy, knowing that people in the system making the change, these extraordinary people, are there doing the hard, boring, grindy work of updating and fixing democracy for the future. So thank you very much.